Good afternoon, everybody. Got a quick question. Did y'all pay enough taxes this year? Let me show you what your folks in Washington spent it on. I got this chart that's been in the back here. But if you look at it, you take a real quick glance and you can see that they have oversold, overpromised, and overpaid. When you take a look at this red part right here, this is what entitlements do. And when you add in the defense budget, you're $478 billion in the hole, whether you do anything else. What that shows you is this net payment over here of $198 billion on the interest on the national debt, you're paying with borrowed money. That makes no sense. You're borrowing 41 cents out of every dollar that they spend up in Washington. This kind of reminds me of the story about President Reagan. Ronald Reagan ran for president in 1976, and when he lost that nomination to Gerald Ford, they brought him down on the hall. He had no idea what he was going to say. When he got down there, he talked about writing a letter for a time capsule that would go out 50 years into the future. And he said it dawned on him then that these folks were going to know the outcome about whether the Soviet Union and the United States, who had pointed nuclear missiles at each other, whether they fired them at each other. They would know whether we had mastered our moment. Well, folks, today, 50 years from now, people are going to know whether we mastered our moment. What is our moment? It's settling these three major crises that face our nation. As a district, it's bringing jobs and opportunity to the 7th District to make it competitive, I think, on not only the national stage, but the world stage. We have, obviously, a budget and an out-of-control spending crisis in this country. We have a jobs crisis, and I believe we have a crisis of spirit. To get our spending crisis under control, if I have the opportunity to go to Congress, the things that I want to do is first implement the Strong America Now Lean Six Sigma Waste Management Plan, and they have a booth right over here. That could save us, our country, about $500 billion, and I have a DVD in the back that can show you how it would work. That's, I think, vitally important because that's cutting waste out of government that everybody can agree on. The other thing I think we need to do is simplify our tax code, whether with a 20% across-the-board flat tax or with the fair tax. Anything's got to be better than what we have right now. As y'all probably learned this week, as I did. We've got to do some serious entitlement reform. We've got to step up to the plate and make it fairer and simpler and reduce cost on people and increase access, whether it's reducing or getting rid of Obamacare or saving Medicare and Social Security. That's a top priority so that we can get this thing that we're facing, this out-of-control spending, under control, because that's where we're heading for trouble. We need to replace the earmark system where the wheeling and dealing has been going on in Washington with some kind of merit-based appropriation system because we've got to continue to invest in our infrastructure. And most importantly, we need to balance the budget. We have to do it in the city of Myrtle Beach. We have to do it in the state of South Carolina. Every state in the union has to do it, and they need to do it in Washington. To solve our jobs crisis, we need to get rid of the regulations that are destroying our country. We are over-regulating our business community and strangling them. We've got to let them loose so they can bring jobs back so we can hire people and get them back to work. We've also, I believe, got to unleash our energy resources in this country. We have 2,543 trillion cubic feet of natural gas in the continental United States. We have potentially 17 super fields in Alaska and across the United States of oil. That's about 500 million barrels of oil per super field. Folks, there is no reason for us to be energy dependent on anybody. With that, we can put thousands of people back to work. Not be dependent at all on foreign oil. And by the time we need to find whatever the next great energy resource is going to be for this country. And finally, we need to invest in our infrastructure here in the 7th District so that we can bring jobs here, whether that's economic development or I-73 or dredging the Georgetown port or retrofitting the buildings in Marion and across the PD where my family lives so that we can bring industry in, or bring in chemical and medical industry to Florence. Those are the kind of things that we need to do, investing and paying attention to the strengths of every county in our district and making us competitive for the future. And as your congressman, my #1 priority, above all, will be working for you. That's how we restore the crisis of spirit in this country. We elect people who remember who they work for. And And I'm going to follow the advice that Senator Thurman gave me, which was, if somebody's there asking for help, it's your job to help them. And that will be my top priority as your congressman, helping people. Folks, I just need your help. If you'll stand with me, I promise you this, whether you live in Bennettsville or Hartsville or Timmonsville or Florence or Georgetown or Marion or Mullins or right here in Myrtle Beach, I'll stand with you every minute of every day of every hour as long as you'll send me there, and I'll do it until the good Lord calls me home or you call me home if I don't live up to what I promise you. I need your help. Please come on board, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here today.
Thank you, Randall.